Welcome to the Apartment Guys, where we dive deep into all things multifamily investing. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and empower real estate investors to reach their highest potential. Each week, host Tate interviews high-level guests from all over the industry who are sure to bring valuable, actionable ideas that will propel your career to the next level. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned investor, you are in the right place. And now your host, the Apartment Guy, Tate Seymour.
All right, welcome everybody back. This is a very special episode of the Apartment Guys podcast. And we are celebrating here at Greenlight Equity Group. My team and myself are very excited, and it's been a great 2-week, 10-day period in our career, in our business. We just closed on our 179 unit apartment community in Mansfield, Ohio, north of Columbus, Ohio. And we closed also on our 70 unit community in Columbus, Ohio. And we are thrilled. That gets us to 249 units in Central Ohio, which is one of our target markets, in addition to Oklahoma City and Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we're thrilled to be owners and operators of these assets, and we cannot wait to improve them and make the lives of the residents there better by providing high quality, safe, affordable, clean housing for them. And so we're, like I say, we're celebrating here. In this episode, I actually went to Ohio and drove 5 hours to central Pennsylvania, kind of near State College, Pennsylvania. And I visited with one of the investors that made the Mansfield acquisition possible. He invested passively with us in the Mansfield asset. And he is a dairy farmer, actually, and has done very, very well, is a great example of what it is to be masterful at something, to have passion and focus and love for what he does. And it shows in his farm, which I got to tour. It shows in the quality of the animals and their lives. And it was very eye-opening for me to get to tour a working dairy farm with Mr. Phil Kulp, who is my guest today. I got to sit down with him on the farm, so you're going to get to see a little bit of that. And we talk about a lot of different things. We talk about why he is doing what he's doing in the farming industry, and also why he's investing in apartments and what his thoughts are behind that. To learn more about investing passively with us or in general, go to www.investwithgreenlight.com. That's investwithgreenlight.com to sign up for our investor list and to schedule a call with me personally. And we can start the discussion about what it looks like to invest in apartments. It does not take a lot of money to start, guys. Hugely important note. So go there and let's get busy. So on that, I hope you really enjoy this discussion with Phil and myself. It really is a from the heart kind of discussion. I think both of us really connected and shared a lot of great ideas with each other and great conversations. So I hope that you really enjoy it. And without further ado, let's get started with Mr. Phil Kulp. Welcome back, everybody. This is a special episode of the Apartment Guys today, and we're coming to you live on location from somewhere in central Pennsylvania, near Altoona, near State College, that sort of east of Pittsburgh, west of Philadelphia, just to give you some geographic reference on where we're hanging out today. And I'm here with a very special man by the name of Mr. Phil Kulp. And Phil is a dairy farmer here in Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania, has a number of farms here, and has invested passively in one of our investments in Central Ohio, our 179 unit deal in Mansfield, Ohio, that we've talked about. And basically, I'm here today visiting with Phil. I got to meet him in person just an hour ago, basically, and got to swing on his rope swing in his barn and meet his family.
You did very well on the rope swing. Excellent.
Thank you.
Fearless.
It was a little intimidating. The rope swing was a little intimidating, I got to be honest. But Phil's got a beautiful farm here and a beautiful family, and I'm very eager to share with you guys a little bit about kind of how Phil does things and how he thinks about things in terms of business and in terms of the way that he runs his own business. So, Phil, thanks for hanging out with me today, and welcome.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Tate, for being here on your birthday. It means a lot that you'd be willing to make this a part of your birthday.
I appreciate that. It is my birthday, and it's an honor to get to spend it with you and your family and on your farm, your beautiful farm. Finally got some good weather yesterday. There was torrential rain, and on my way out here from Columbus, Ohio, or from Salt Lake City via Columbus, Ohio, I guess, it was quite rainy, but it's cleared up today, and we got to see some cows and some calves and kind of some of the inner workings of a dairy farm, which is really fascinating to me. So Phil, I guess maybe give us a little thumbnail version of kind of the Phil Kulp story, and I got to hear a little bit about the history of the farm and your family, but I think people would really enjoy hearing about that.
Well, the Phil Kulp story is a pretty simple story. I come from numerous generations of dairy farmers and people that just believe that we're given resources, land, animals, and folks around us to just be stewards of and just take care of, and it's all the Lord's, it's all God's. And so I'm probably the least qualified farm manager that you'll meet, and I have a lot of really good people around me. I told you earlier, I like fixing things. I'm mechanical, and so with a farm, there's always something broken, and there's always opportunity to use my gifts. But a little bit more of the story of how we got to where we are. My parents moved from eastern Pennsylvania in the early 70s because of the urban pressure and the housing pressure. You couldn't really afford to farm ground in eastern Pennsylvania around Philadelphia. And so they were led to Blair County, and this is a much better ground than this area. And so I think they brought 37 cows and a lot of debt to different family members and feed mills. And my dad, who just passed this year from COVID, I said, "Weren't you afraid that you wouldn't be able to do it?" He said, "No." He said, I had confidence that the Lord was in it, and we'd be able to succeed. And so from 1972 to the time I graduated high school, I had one sister who's older. We grew up on the farm together, and the farm grew from 37 cows. I think the time we both left for college, we were around maybe 200 cows with just maybe one or two full-time employees. And my sister, she met a fellow from Virginia. She's been in Virginia ever since, so she's not been back to the farm, but her kids and her family love coming and visiting. I was actually gone from the farm, or going from the home, for 9 years. I spent 4 years in college in Virginia, and spent another 3 or 4 years in Missouri with a Christian sports camp, and then spent a year after being married in Texas as a teacher, which my wife's a great teacher. I'm a very average teacher. That's why I'm farming. And so in 1996, when my wife Becky and I moved back, the farm was still around 230, 240 milking cows, about 300 acres, maybe more than that, probably 400 or 500 acres that they were farming. And so I first came back and worked for Dad, and my wife liked the area. She had friends that took her in, and she really was accepted in this area, really enjoyed it. And so from about 97 to 98, we traveled and looked at different dairy operations. We knew we had to grow the business. We knew that what we were doing wasn't efficient enough to be competitive, to continue to produce milk. And so in 1999, we built a new dairy complex and went to 700 cows. And that really was the first, scared me a lot because my parents were willing to, put up all the equity that they had put together their whole life. And my dad said, that doesn't concern me at all. I came into the world with nothing, I'll leave with nothing. And I might get a little bit emotional in telling some of the stories because I had such a rich blessing from my father, and he passed here in December, so it hasn't been that long since he's been gone. But so anyway, his willingness to recognize that it's all God's and we don't own it, and let's go to the next step. Let's take a chance. And so we leveraged fairly heavily, probably dropped to 35 to 40% equity, and borrowed at that time maybe $3 or $3.5 million to build the new dairy complex. And then from 1999, things went fairly well in the first year. And in 2001, we built a second barn. It took us to 1,200 cows, and continued to. We had good animals, good people, and an efficient milking setup where the cows were comfortable and again, excellent employees. So the business itself has done well. The families worked very hard together to make that happen. And then really by 2000, we were 1,200 cows up until about 2007, and that's when the dairy industry got a little bit more difficult, and there were some neighbors that wanted to sell their operations. So in 2007, we bought the neighbor's farm. We're now milking 700 cows at that farm. He's a crops manager for me. It's been a great partnership. His skills are being utilized, and we were able to spread our management over two locations. And then in 2008, we had an opportunity to buy another farm that's a little further away from here, about 30 miles away. Same type of things. Gentleman wanted to retire, and he had a good operation, good land base. So we had people that were ready to take on management skills, and so we call those satellite operations, which they're not as efficient, they're smaller. So that second one we purchased in 2008 it's milking 450 cows, and but it's a good land base. And so since 2008, we've tried to continue to buy real estate because we have to feed cows. We need a place for the nutrients, for the manure. So our business is pretty simple. We sell three main products. We sell milk, we sell meat, and we sell fertilizer. We sell it to ourselves. We have organic fertilizer in the form of manure. And the nice part about dairy cow is the nutrient cycle is almost perfect. She doesn't produce too much phosphorus. If you're feeding that cow off the ground around her, she doesn't over provide it with phosphorus or nutrients. And so we do actually have to buy in some additional nutrients to meet the crop needs. And so we our no-till system, no-till farming, we try to do a great job with conservation of soil. We have a very high-producing herd. We have worked with ST Genetics and Select Sire, some other different companies, to have the best genetics that are offered in the world. And so, we work very hard. The place doesn't shut down. It runs 365 days a year. But my 6 children, they've been enjoyed growing up on the farm. They all have roles, and I told Tate, I said, we milk cows so we could have 4-wheelers and nice pickup trucks, right? So, but no, we do enjoy working with the animals, and we do take pride in providing food for the world. That's a reality. I mean, this county, 85% of the milk that's produced in Blair County is exported to other parts of the United States or other parts of the world, because we are, we can't begin to consume all the milk in this county. But you probably have a lot more other questions than just that. That kind of gives you a starting point of how the business has grown. So from 72 with 37 cows to current date, 2021, we're at 3,000 milking cows and 3,000 replacements. So the total animals will be around 6,000 animals, and cropping just probably right around 6,000 acres also to support those cows.
Wow. Yeah, that's... this is just fascinating to me. I could listen to you go on for another half hour about all that. And it's a whole new world to me. Many of you know I'm the product of the suburbs of Cincinnati, and church youth group and recreational soccer, and I worked in restaurants and growing up, and into high school and college, and I did a little. The closest reference I have to this world at all, and it's not even that close of a reference, is I did a ranch camp, a Christian ranch camp growing up in high school, and went every summer, usually multiple times, and became a counselor and taught some horseback riding. And we did some cattle roundups. That's good. That's the closest I've really been to cattle. I actually saw a calf get castrated.
I thought you were going to say being born.
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget.
That's something you want to forget as a male.
I'll never forget it. But so I can tell from talking to you, getting to know you before this conversation, and then listening to you talk about your business, how much heart and soul you have put into it, how much heart and soul your dad put into it, and how his legacy is one of the things that seems to drive you, I guess, maybe, or it really informs kind of the whole operation. It's really a tribute to what kind of person he must have been.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a very giving person, but one of the things that was also great about my dad is he gave, in his giving, he gave opportunity. Whenever Becky and I came back to the farm and we built, he was willing, my parents were willing to leverage themselves financially, and we built a new dairy. From that period on, from 1999 on, he said, Phil, tell me what you want me to do, but I'm going to let you, I'm not going to run this. And that, a lot of parents really have trouble, giving up what their identity is, or, if he was a successful farmer, but he was willing to let me make mistakes, let me hire people, let me train, let me organize. And so, I'm now at that point in my life. Kyle and Kate, my oldest two, have just graduated Penn State, and I'm anxious to let them have responsibility and let them make the decisions, and to say to them, we still have 4 other kids that need to figure out what they want to do, or what part of the operation they want to have. So I'm still very engaged, but so my dad definitely left a legacy of faithfulness, a legacy of willingness to let go of things, to let other people have opportunity, and certainly a willingness to not hold tightly to, financially, to say that finances are the most important thing. And so one of the things that I'm a firm believer in is we're not called to wealth accumulation. We're not called, building wealth is not a calling. It's not, we're given skills, talents, abilities for a purpose, and I don't always know if I'm even in my right purpose. I mean, today I got a call, there's something broken, and I know I can fix things, so today I'll feel like I have purpose, I can fix something. But so I hope I have another 20, 30 years to figure out what my next, if my purpose isn't to run this farm, my kids are going to do that, what's the next thing I'm supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And this transition period, it's been a little bit different because dairy is a little bit, I think the dynamics have changed significantly. There's been a lot of consolidation, and we're a large farm, but we're not a large farm compared to the more efficient farms in the Midwest and the western part of the country now. And I was telling Tate, for the first time in the last 5 years, we feel negative pressure, which isn't, most of it's not accurate, and a lot of it's internet driven. There possibly are bad players in any industry, but my parents, when they were when they had their farm and they were valued by the community, their products were valued, and there was never any question of whether they cared for their animals, cared for the environment. They took great pride in what they did, and we still do take great pride in what we do, because we know that we are doing the best job we can do, and we care about all the resources that we've been given. But it's very discouraging that, Google knows what you Google. So if you Google something about, something negative that happened in dairy, for the next 2 weeks, every time you go to look up something on the internet, you're bombarded with all this negative, and so it could be a false sting that was set up, or it could be something legit where somebody was a bad actor in the industry. But and I think it's taken, psychologically, it has taken a little bit of a toll on our optimism moving into the future. And I've also had my kids visit other states and visit, different dairy operations that don't have some of the logistical challenges. They have big tracts of ground. They have the ability to build bigger buildings, house more cattle. And so we're not just plowing forward with reinvesting in dairy. If we're going to reinvest here in Pennsylvania, the next big investment, whether it's putting in a rotary milking center, it would probably be a $10 million investment. And we've been able to pay our debt down significantly, and so we're not a leveraged business, which is a great place to be. The kids don't have to have the financial pressure that I had or that my parents had. But the reason that Tate and I are talking is because we just have not found the opportunity to reinvest in dairy right now currently, and so we're taking some of the resources that could have been in the stock market and they actually were in the stock market, and I just decided it wasn't tangible enough for me to appreciate, because I didn't really know who I was. I know we're investing in the U.S. economy, and that's a great place to invest, but I personally felt better if I could see a piece of ground that we had purchased, or I can know that I'm working with a few other partners, and we know that there's some people that are being housed in a nice environment in Ohio. It just seemed like a more tangible thing for us to invest and be stewards of. So that's, I guess, what got us to the point is being able to pay our debt down, but not feeling called to plow a lot of new capital into dairy in Pennsylvania right now.
Yeah. So, you brought it up, kind of the elephant in the room. A lot of the conversation that we have on the podcast and at conferences and on videos and on YouTube and whatnot is that why multifamily apartments are such a great alternative to the stock market. And
I'll tell you, in 3 to 5 years, it was a good move.
Right, exactly. Well, proof will be in the pudding, right? But and I know that this is I know that this particular asset that we're going to be closing on Thursday is the update, by the way. So today's Monday, May 10th, my birthday, and we'll be closing on this particular asset on Thursday, which will be the 14th, I think, 13th, 14th, of 2021. So that's to give you some reference of where we are in time history, and a little bit about the asset. It's 179 units in Mansfield, Ohio, which is what we call a tertiary market of Columbus, Ohio. It's about an hour north of Columbus, and it sits in a really beautiful wooded kind of rolling hill type setting, and it has about, I believe, 15 buildings total, with 179 units total, and a leasing office and a big parking lot and a couple parks, including a dog park. And it's really a wonderful asset. And when you walk around and talk to people that live there, people love living there. Most of the tenants have been there a long time, and it's been really, really well run for quite a while now. The last 3 years, it's been run by the same management company that we're going to be retaining and maintaining continuity with through the transition as we take over ownership. And so in the context of a apartment transaction and an apartment acquisition, there's typically a group of general partners, which are the operators or the sponsors, or other words that those are referred to by. That would be usually myself and my partners. We're finding deals, doing the due diligence, getting financing set up, establishing capital relationships for the deal, and getting investment funds set up, and really doing all the things that it takes to get the deal done. And that's the general partners. On the other side are the limited partners, and those partners are also sometimes referred to as passive investors, and basically their one and only job is to bring capital to the deal, and they get a very nice preferred return, meaning they get paid before anybody else after debt service gets paid, and then they get a really nice split on the equity on the deal. And I've always said and still maintain that position in the deal is really the position. It's the creme de la creme position in the deal. In that, the limited partners get paid the most. They get paid first and have the security of ownership. So there's risk mitigation. They get depreciation, which we've talked maybe a little bit about the implications of that, but a lot of the returns from this investment are going to be either tax-free or tax-deferred, depending on, and we can talk about that in other episodes. But basically, it's just a wonderful position to be in the right deal, of course, and that's really. As a passive investor, if you're Mr. Phil, you're looking for a deal with a good operator that you know and you trust, and that you can get a good feel for how they do things, how their partners do things, and how their company does things, what their track record is, etc. And then, of course, you want to get a good feel for the deal and the returns that the deal is going to offer. But it's really it's quite an opportunity when you look at the volatility of the stock market in particular, and recent times, the last year and a half has been a great testament to this, is how volatile the stock market can be and how scary it can be, really, when you're talking about your wealth, your net worth, your legacy that you're leaving for your kids. The stock market is kind of a sketchy place to be, and unlike an apartment building, stock market's not usually a stock ownership is usually not going to pay you a dividend. Unlike an apartment building, which will pay you an ongoing return throughout the investment period. You're certainly not getting any sort of a depreciation on a stock like you do with apartments. You don't get much leverage unless you're buying options, of course, in stocks. So there's some really attractive advantages to owning real estate. And you said it best. It's something that you can go touch, feel, step on. It's something that everybody needs. And it's something that we, as partners, can make a really profound impact on the quality of people's lives. And this is where I start to get emotional.
Right.
When you look at bringing a clean, safe, high quality, up to date, secure place for people to live, which is so universal, and we are typically buying apartment buildings that are renting for what we would call like workforce level rents. In the Mansfield market, we're in the $650 to $750 range, right? Like right in there. And in the context of today's market, that's very affordable living. That includes a number of utilities and these are people that work hard, typically, that need and deserve a good, safe place to live, and really, unfortunately, at those rent levels, are sifting through a whole lot of very non-desirable places to live. And so, where we can really shine is by managing well, keeping things tight and keeping our capital expenditures up to date, and everything just ducks in a row, and staying in real clear communication with tenants, and our commitment as a company overall is to our investors and to our residents.
Right.
We feel like if we take care of both those groups, everything else will fall into place. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege to get to work with you on this project and on a business level, and really appreciate your trust, and we're gonna crush it with this one. It's gonna be a good one.
Well, I'll share the story. I'm a firm believer in, when I'm not smart enough to know which way to go, left or right, that God has a way of situating people or circumstances to where you get just a little bit of confirmation. And so we were talking about this potential deal, and I had spent one summer playing baseball in Columbus in the Great Lakes League, and so I knew the area. And then Tate got me the contact information for some of the other folks that are involved in that project, 2 firemen that are out there. And so I made contact with them, and then I found out my daughter was going to see a friend who was in Columbus. That's the same, it was like that weekend, and so I thought, well, I'm just going to ride along out with her. And so, long story short or longer, the neat confirmation for me personally, or just, when you're not sure, is this what I want to do with this investment? My daughter's friend lived within 5 minutes of the partners out there in the Columbus area. I hit it off with them like they could have been my brothers, and just and when we got to my daughter's friend's apartment, there was a double rainbow, not just a single rainbow, just the most brilliant, clear double rainbow I've ever seen. Took a picture of it, sent it to Tate, and said, maybe this is an omen. Yeah. And so, not, things won't be perfect, but at least, when I'm struggling through which way do we turn, it offers some diversity to the dairy farm, and the people that, and Tim Shaw and Seth and that I've met. It was just, I felt very comfortable with the type of work ethic and the type of character that they have, and I may be the weakest link in the whole thing, so that's a good thing. So,
well, I can assure you that you're not the weakest link in the whole thing. You're the part that you're playing is very important, and without all the pieces in place, it wouldn't be getting done. So thank you for that. And our guys on the ground, our Columbus partners, are fantastic. Seth Teagle and Tim Shaw are my partners. They're in the general partnership for this project, and they are go-getters and are really detail-oriented. Tim Shaw in particular is just great with analytics and spreadsheets and doing audits on profit and loss reports and bank deposits and tax returns, and just really getting everything dialed in so that we know as best we can the asset and what that we're purchasing, right? So that we can best manage it. And so Seth and Tim are going to be our guys moving forward once we take ownership, that are going to implement our business plan and basically take the ball and run with it, get our rents up to where they need to be, get the capital expenditure work done that we're going to be doing. One of the interesting things we're doing on this project is that we're adding 119 washers and dryers to the units that don't have them currently. We have 60 units that do have them. So we'll be doing some plumbing and some electric, and every time a unit turns over, we do one of those jobs. So it's and the nice thing, one of the reasons I feel as good as I do about this particular investment for all of us is we're not trying to shoot for the moon at all when it comes to the business plan and the increase in revenue. So we've underwritten rents going from an average of about $569 right now to about $650 in 3 years. So over the course of natural turnover and organic rent growth, and adding the washers and dryers, we will not have an issue achieving that. I think if anything, there's upside to this deal that we haven't even really we didn't underwrite. Like, for instance, covered parking might be something that we do, and that's something that we've got a whole bunch of parking lot space, and the current owners, the sellers that we're buying it from, put probably $1 million at least into brand new asphalt. Did you notice how
Yeah,
nice
it's
that
nice.
was?
Yeah,
it's in good shape. They took out a whole bunch of covered parking structure in the middle.
When I was checking it out, I had to go twice. Time schedule wise, after dropping my daughter off in Columbus, I drove up and it was dark and it looked just amazing. There was only one light I saw that was burned out, so I was really impressed. And then I thought, well, I should go back the next morning so I could see it. I was also looking at farms out there, so there was multiple reasons to be out there. But both the farms I looked at, I decided wouldn't be the right place to invest in. So we decided for the apartment complex with these partners. But so I went back in the day and it still looked good. So that's a good sign. It looks great at night. It looks good during the day. It's probably all right.
Yeah. So we'll likely try to we'll do some trial covered parking spots that we charge for, and we'll see what kind of demand we get from those, and that can be another profit center. And anytime in a scale like this, when you've got 180 units, this is another really wonderful thing about multifamily and leverage. Anytime, it's kind of probably a lot like cows. If you can get the whole herd of cows production up 7% or whatever, the value of that herd just went way up, right? And
yeah, I was amazed when we started just the parallels, in housing, providing quality housing for cattle on a large scale, and quality housing for people.
Yeah.
And just a side note that this had hit me before, but a lot of the pressure, the negative. The negativity towards larger farms or larger housing systems for cattle, some of that comes from people that are living in cities in multiple, in housing that's very similar. Mm-hmm. And not everybody's going to have their own house on their own 5 acres of ground. And not every cow in this United States that provides quality milk or meat is going to be in its own pasture with its own mom and dad, with its own family as its owner. It just, you can't manage it that way. Just like, and so, I see value in quality housing where a community of people can come and live in a nice housing complex, and I see tremendous value when we can put cattle in a well-ventilated, comfortable barn where they can thrive and be very productive. So there's a lot of similarities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in full disclosure, Phil and I have talked, and I'm basically a dairy-free person by choice, for reasons that are basically personal reasons, and for reasons that don't cause me to have any judgment about anybody else's choices when it comes to what they eat and what they do for a living and what they produce in the world. So it's just a personal choice, right, that I make, and coming here and seeing what Phil was just describing, this beautifully organized farm with these superstructures that are like hyper ventilated. You should. I'll post a picture of the ventilation at the end of this one building. It's amazing, and the amount of conscientiousness and care that Phil and his family provide these animals is clear, and I'm saying that as somebody that loves animals, and wouldn't say that if it weren't the case. So, it's. I'm always like I believe almost fundamentally, like as much as anything else in the world, that we owe it to ourselves and each other to stay open-minded.
Right. And I told I told Tate, we've given numerous tours to people that are vegan or that don't necessarily believe in what maybe some of the people in our industry are doing, and I don't believe in, if there's bad actors in every industry, I don't like that, and we want to certainly weed out and find those folks. But we find it. I love that we're getting to share life together, and we're getting to learn from each other.
Yeah.
And we'll go to I'm going to take him to an old order Mennonite farm. They're the horse and buggy Mennonites. And just to see another example of dairy, and so yeah, there's lots of ways to look at every opportunity and every challenge, and I'm glad that we're getting to explore this together.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's a privilege, truly, and I get to learn, and we get to grow and learn together, and that's what makes the world go around, and that's what makes us all better people and hopefully a better world for all of us. So we're gonna walk around, do some more sightseeing around the farm, and go check out a couple other sites. I'll roll some more interview video during that walk around, and but in the meantime, Phil, I just want to thank you, and
he might be late for the Thursday closing. He might be for the whole week.
I might be here all week. That's right. Thursday closing, I might not make it to, but no. So far, so good. This has been great, and that rope swing, man, I'll never forget that. I've got video of that I'll probably throw in the video as well. So with that, we'll just keep the tour going here, and we'll be back. Thanks so much. So at this point, Phil and I got to take a tour of actually his multiple dairy farms in Pennsylvania there. And I got to meet his dog Slinky and his daughters and sons and wife. And they all are so just happy people, like really connected to what they're doing, and connected to the land and the weather and the animals, and are just, I hate to use the cliche salts of the earth, because it's just it's just applicable here. Like, these are 100% authentically wonderful human beings that are really, just like I say, connected to what they're doing, and know why they're doing what they're doing, and are focused on feeding the world. That's their mission, their mission in the world. So with that, I just want to remind you that, again, if you're interested in learning more about working with us, like Phil is working with us on projects, to reach out, www.investwithgreenlight.com. That's where we can book an appointment and really get down to talking about what it looks like to become a passive investor in real estate. It's easier than you think, and it doesn't take as much money as you might think. So on that, hope you have a great week. We'll get with you next Thursday on the next episode of The Apartment Guys. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to The Apartment Guys with Tate Seamer. Tate and friends are grateful to have you as a loyal listener. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe, rate, review, and share with friends on your Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or any other podcast platform. Also, check out Tate's YouTube channel for videos of many of these episodes and more. Until next time, take massive action steps and rock on.